Hi Pisces, what's going on? We're here with your reading for mid-June. Welcome. First card that we have out is the Hierophant. And the Lovers and the Two of Swords. Okay. Ooh, I'm seeing some conflict here. You can feel like somebody stepped on your toes a bit. So this is going to be in the setting of a relationship, is what I'm seeing here. You can feel like decisions need to be made. So it's not only because of Two of Swords, it's also the Lover. So this is like you may be deciding something with someone, or you may be deciding something about a relationship. Starting off with the Hierophant in this deck gives the feeling of like wanting things to be a particular way and having a hard time being in a situation where that may not be how things are unfolding. So this can feel triggering because it's like, this is the way that things should happen, or like, I wanted things to go in this way. And it can be highlighting where you may be holding on to something in a way that feels very rigid, and it may be not allowing you to adapt properly within a situation, within your relationship. Because the Hierophant can be like, you can either stay stubborn within that place and be like, I'm not adjusting, this is the way that it's gonna be. But how do you do that when it's you and another person? So you can choose to do that, where it's like you can be unforgiving, you can be like, it's my way or the highway, that type of thing, and then try to interact in the relationship like that. Or it can be a moment where you're taking a look at a part of yourself that can be highlighted through this experience that you're having with this other person, and take a look at a part of you that's having a really hard time adapting right now. But yeah, you can feel like the way that you like things to be has been challenged now. Justice. What to do about it now? Having Two of Swords and Justice can mean that something's not fully been seen yet about the right way to approach this situation. So Justice can be like, something happens, it needs to be made right, or there is a right way to move forward. Two of Swords is still like once removed from the Ace of Swords. If you had Ace of Swords, you'd be like, I know what to do, I know what the right thing is, I know how to move forward. Two of Swords means like you haven't gotten there yet, actually. And so you can have some ideas about what to do here, but there isn't a like, there's not a full, clear understanding of this yet. In new territory. Maybe you're going to handle this situation in a different way than you normally would. I feel like this thing that's happening with you and this person, it can shed light on your values in a way where you can become informed then of the stuff that matters to you, but in a way where this can be something where there's like learning and exploring that's happening, rather than just getting really uptight about this unless that's what you want to do. But it feels like the Fool and the Lovers can be like, let's keep an open mind here and try to see what's going on and what's happening and see what we can learn from this. But the Hierophant can be that part of you that's like, I don't want to learn anything and I want things to stay the way they are, and why did that happen like that? It can be that part of you that can be very shut down, that doesn't want to learn anything new, that doesn't want to try a new way, that doesn't want to expand with this person. It just like has a lot of problems, has a lot of issues with what's going on. But the Fool is that part of you that's like, why can't we sort of enter into this and explore what this means? Like, maybe rather than just shutting down, we can look around and be like, this is a weird place to be in. Like, let me look into this a bit further. So I think it's about trying to have an open mind, but the Hierophant doesn't necessarily have an open mind, because it's like, this is how things should be, this is how things have always been, or like, I grew up in a situation where this is how the rules were, but the situation is not necessarily reflective of that. So now what do? You either open your mind and adapt, or you stay in the same energy, which you can feel like maybe that's just what you're comfortable with, but you can also feel like you're not going to grow then in this situation, but maybe you don't want to also. It's really up to you. Maybe something has pushed you too far and you're like, that's way too far outside of my comfort zone and I've just had enough here, and you can feel like shutting down because of that. It's really all up to you. There's not a right and a wrong. It's just what you want to do here. But you can feel like there's a part of you that's being a bit rigid. I do get like a my way or the highway type of energy here, and that can be something that's very difficult to try to bring into a relationship, because how do you do that with two people? It's not just a relationship between you and yourself. There's another person that's involved here, and what about like what they think, and what about their preferences and their values, and maybe you can find some middle ground with you and this person by not being so far on one side of things. But it can really be challenging it can be challenging your belief system here. Hierophant and the Hanged Man being connected with one another shows that there may be some beliefs, there may be some standards, some rules that you're holding on to that you have outgrown now at this point, that you cannot carry on into this situation. Otherwise, it's going to close it out. Like, you can't continue to play, essentially. Like, you can't continue to be in the relationship like this if you keep holding on to this. But also, too, having the Hierophant and the Hanged Man says that, like, there are certain things that, even though you may be accustomed to those things, if you stay in that space, you're going to basically be choosing like comfort over the exploration of where your relationship is going and how you can also grow within your interpersonal relationships. And maybe there's a part of you too that sort of looked down upon exploring with another person, where you felt like, I have to have some type of constitution here. So if I'm not standing by this, then I'm not standing for anything. But I think shifting your perspective to see this as like an opening up, and you opening your mind, especially like opening your heart to this person, because this is somebody that you care about, right? Because I get the feeling again of this being like, the relationship goes this way, and this is what I say about that. And it's like, again, like, where's the room for the other person that's involved in this then? And like, how are you really able to see the right way if that's sort of the lens that you're looking at this through? Can feel like something isn't fully being understood here, something isn't fully being seen here. I get this feeling too, like there's one right way to do things, when again, like, that's not always the case in this situation. But you can be like thinking that the one right thing is like just the thing that you happen to be used to also. And maybe this other person has another idea about what that is, and does that make anyone more right or wrong than the other person? Maybe it's just two both valid perspectives that may be clashing with one another, like that type of thing. This can also bring things up like rules and commitment as well. Okay. If you're able to see outside of things, you're going to understand why this has happened in the first place and what to do moving forward. But there can be some type of issue. Two of Swords in the Tower can be like, I see that everything is sort of like collapsing around me, but I'm not fully seeing that, or I'm not fully understanding why that's happening, you know? And it's about needing to take a step back and look at this more objectively, like why this has been happening. All right, Pisces, I am seeing Taurus, Gemini, Libra, and Aries here, and I'm also seeing Uranus, Neptune, and Mars. I'm seeing flexibility be what's suggested here. Flexibility and adaptability, and also doing the right thing from a mature space. Like, you think about somebody that you really respect, that you see as being somebody that's very balanced and even-minded, and like what they would do in this situation. How aligned or misaligned is that with like how you're playing this out? The Fool and Justice is about exploring values, especially interpersonal values. So it can be like, maybe this can bring up a conversation with you and another person about like what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. Like what you like and what you don't like. What's important to you and what's not important to you. What's important to the other person as well. What do you need within this relationship? What does this other person need within this relationship? What do you feel like maybe you're not getting from this other person? What do they feel like they're maybe not getting from you? You know, like those types of things can be explored here. So you can open yourself up to like, how do I be cooperative? How do I collaborate with this person that I care about? How do I try to figure things out with them and work with them? This person that I'm sort of like teammates with currently. Or there can be this other aspect of the energy where it's like, this is just too much for me and I can't do it, and I'm gonna shut it down because of that. Which you get to do whatever it is that you want to do in this, but it does seem like something may have happened, something drastic may have happened, and it needs to be brought back into balance. It needs to be made right, but there can still be not seeing all of it for what it was. Meaning, it can be like, you can see maybe what the other person did, but maybe not what you did. You know, like that type of thing where it's like, well, I see how you made that mistake, but then like not really seeing what you were doing. It can be that type of thing. Or if you're on the other side of this, you can feel like you're dealing with someone right now that's pointing the finger at you, but like both of you guys did stuff within this scenario and they're not taking accountability at all. You know, it can be like that type of thing. Seems like the relationship is going to shift no matter what. There are going to be changes no matter what, and it feels like old things within the dynamic that are not meant to continue. This can be the time where those things can be left at the wayside. Choices need to be made about what's going to be happening, about how to take action, but needing to do so in a way that you feel like this is really the mature thing to do here. This is the responsible thing to do here. This is the thing that I feel like I'm showing up best and taking action and doing so in a way that's in full alignment of what I believe is right here. And I think too, with, again, coming back to the Hierophant and the Fool, this is sort of adopting a new perspective and maybe getting a bit outside of your comfort zone or getting outside of what you're used to and trying to meet this person a little bit more in the middle. Because, you know, the Hierophant too can be an energy that's kind of like the king of the situation or like the authority. But how do you be like the single authority when there are two equals involved in something? It can make for a misshapen type of situation to be taking place then, which is something that needs to be brought back into a harmonious balance. And that can only be done with a well-rounded energy. And that's really what's needed and what's meant to be applied here. Like, how do you deal with something that feels challenging? How do you deal with something that's difficult? You have to use like all of the most conscious parts of yourself here to carry this through, especially when you're feeling very challenged. I think this is too about seeing what's really going on here, like what's actually happening. Because having Lovers and the Hanged Man can also be like a miscommunication, a misinterpretation that happened between you and someone. Like, you may not properly fully be seeing the relationship, or you may not properly fully be seeing this other person. Like, there can be something that happened where there's still like it's not fully sinking in or setting in yet. I'm seeing Queen of Swords, which means that the suggestion for this would be taking a step back and looking at this as objectively as possible so you can understand what's really going on and then problem solve from there. And the Queen of Swords is going to be one where it's like, I can put my emotions aside here to really actually look at what's going on, to have a proper objective as possible, assessment of what's in front of me, so I can really get to the truth here. Some of you, this is someone you're in a relationship with. You could be living with them. Some of you could be married. Finding yourself through the process and what to do here. There can be a part of you that is feeling like this is a big challenge and it may be something that you know is going to take time and work, and there can be a part of you that's not feeling super motivated to participate because of that. So I think this is also about taking a look at your relationship with this person and seeing whatever it is that you really need to see, because the Lovers and Hanged Man can also be like having these unrealistic expectations of your relationship. Can be relationships in general. Like, this can be a theme that you see be repeated, where it's like you have these certain expectations, maybe even sometimes they're not communicated, or you're just like making up the rules. Doesn't always have to be like that, but it can be like, in my head, like in my fantasy land, the relationship goes like this, and then that's not what happens, and then chaos ensues because of that, you know? So it's about like really taking a look at this person and being like, do I have realistic expectations here? Or am I just setting myself up to continue to be disappointed, you know? And figuring out why that's happening too. And it can be too, like, you know, Neptune is also about idealism. So it's like you may expect like these really, like a really high standard from certain people that again can be kind of unrealistic at times, and then when they don't do exactly that, it can feel like everything falls apart then. So it's about looking at people in a realistic light, and also like reminding to count yourself in when it comes to the standard too, and also remembering too that people are people, that nobody is going to be perfect, so to also consider that when it comes to your expectations too. Because I also see with the Lovers and the Hanged Man, it can be like relationships are supposed to be like this, and relationships aren't always like that, you know? And I think too that that's part of like why this tower has happened, because it can be, again, the like, in my head this is how it works, then in real life it doesn't happen like that, and then there's this then like falling apart, like the crumbling of this fantasy. But then being like, how did this happen? Why did this happen? And like not putting two and two together because of this like standard that you have for things. But you can see again that it puts you in a place where there's a lack of adaptability then, because you know things happen. Like, you have another person that you're working with, they have good days, they have bad days, they have mood swings. Sometimes they're angry, sometimes they're reactive, sometimes they're quiet. It's like they're a human, you know, another person. And so I think that this is a really good time for you to look into the things that encourage you to be more rigid in a relationship and explore, like, why is that? Because you don't have to be like, I'm going to keep believing this or not. It's like, why do you think that way? Like, why is that a standard? Why do you think that's important to you? Why do you think relationships should be like that? and find answers. Like, just spend time exploring that instead of just being like, well, I always was raised that way and so that's what I assumed, or like that's what I saw growing up. It can be like, but why then? You know, like getting to the why of things and just spending time exploring that. And I think it's going to give you like a shift in perspective that's really needed here, that will be very beneficial both to you and also all of your relationships, not even just the relationship in front of you. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.